I have nothing to lose, even if I fail the course I made, but I made B's and C's. Boy, did I have to study, though. I didn't do so well in learning bridge or driving a car. No. I couldn't get a license. Well, one isn't supposed to learn everything after 50 or 60. Oh, whoever thought I'd make 90? I'm still pretty dumb.
No, you're not.
That means you can go and do some more dumb stuff. There's quite a few pages left in that book.
About 1952, I was born again. What a great experience. God has been so good to me. Many happy and funny experiences, for instance, in my early conversion. After reading the Bible, I asked Mr. Porter, "What is the tithe?" Was I embarrassed when he was about to, I was calling it tithe. I didn't know what it was. Tithe. When I was, now this is back in Cheshire, when I was, I guess I've skipped around because
as it came to you.
Thoughts came.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's what those nothing books are.
Yeah. When I was about 10, we, the neighborhood kids, went to a swimming hole, and the older boys named it Bear Ass Beach. That was okay with me because I thought they were calling it Brass Beach. But there was always a snicker when I told Mom that I was going to Brass Beach. I always wondered why the snickers. Oh, God. There are some funny things. You know, it sure helps to believe in the Lord and believe in prayer. When I was going to junior college in Michigan, I had to write a story, no longer than the side of one notebook paper. The professor said it had to start like this: the moment I walked in the cafe. Before I went to sleep, I prayed and prayed because I had no idea what to write. I had a dream of the whole story. Then I awoke after the dream, jumped out of bed and wrote the dream down. I thought in the morning I'll make any changes that I needed, but I could not improve on it. I still have it saved someplace among papers. I hope you found it and read it. God is so good.
What was the grade you made on it?
And you read it.
No, what's the grade?
Did you remember the grade?
I don't know if I had a grade on that.
What did
It was
the
really
professor
good.
say
There was a
about
grade.
it when he read it, or she?
There was a grade on it. It was a red mark under something.
Yeah, I remember
But
you
I
telling
still
me.
have it someplace.
Yeah.
When you find it, stick it in the book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We don't want to look that hard.
Yeah.
At least you're not like Mom. We'll be looking real hard through all your papers.
Oh.
Speaking of dreams, this is funny too. Last night I had the funniest dream ever. September the 19th, 1992. A big, fat, older man was standing in the back of the church in his pajamas and robe. He said, "My woman said I had to be baptized before she would marry me." In my dream, I thought he must think he has to wear pajamas in the pool. When he walked down the steps in the water, I saw this big fat face, big fat belly. I don't know if I should say this or not, and little tiny. Little tiny teeth.
What'd you call it?
He was naked. The pastor had a hard time baptizing him because he was so big and fat. When the man started to go out of the pool, he fell and almost drowned. The pastor had a hard time getting him out of the water. Then the man walked up the steps, and at the top step he turned around and waved to everyone in the congregation. All we could see was a big bare body and a little tiny
Sure, huh? You wonder what
Now, why would your mother have such a crazy, funny dream? The only reason I can come up with, maybe because I was in such misery with my hemorrhoid surgery that it gave me a reason to laugh. I guess that was why. And I'm still laughing. I wonder, does God plan things like that? Maybe I should tell you about my hemorrhoid.
Yeah, you never know.
No, that isn't funny. What a good laugh I turn a couple of pages. What a good laugh. Turn a couple of pages. Oh, I guess they will get a big kick out of it. I'm going to have to laugh at it.
Pretty good.
Excuse me, Mary. Sorry, Mom. Okay.
Are you editing?
June always wears the house key an elastic around her waist. This is at the beach in apartment 3. When she first moved in with me, she was unlocking the door with the key still around her. I heard her coming, so was opening the door from the inside and was pulling her in. As I opened it, she did not have time to release the key from the keyhole, and it was still around her waist.
Now, you know that story you said about when the pastor, he was a new pastor, and he was offering a class in the evening, and Gail Lindsay said, you didn't want to walk over there, or something, and everybody said, oh, we don't have to walk over there, he's going to send a bus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tell that story.
Bus.
Yes, tell that story.
Gail
Bus.
That was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Go ahead, say
I almost made an enemy out of Mrs. Lindsay.
I know, but it was funny.
She never, I would never known if I hadn't gone to junior college, but the syllabus is
What is it?
The class outline.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
class outline.
But they're going to cover.
yeah, so I had to make a syllabus or something in junior college, and so, the pastor sent out, either in the bulletin or something, and he used the word syllabus, and so Gail and June, and I don't know who else, are discussing syllabus and wonder what it is. When we drove up to the church, Gail said, there's the silly bus. There's the silly bus. And so when I told her no, what a syllabus was, you know, and she felt, well, she was embarrassed, I guess, and of course, I kind of, what?
If she didn't like it.
No, because I kind of laughed, and I thought for sure she'd know what a syllabus was. And then come in the churchyard, she still sees this bus in the churchyard. She says, oh, there's that silly bus.
Yeah, I believed it too. I thought it was a silly bus.
Yeah, June did too.
What did she say? Because it was you were going to pick up you silly women or something like that, or something like that.
They were going to pick us up in I don't remember now.
And then I explained to her, but I mean, it struck me so funny, you know, when she said, there's that silly bus. And I laughed and laughed, and it embarrassed her, I guess, that I knew and she didn't. And,
Oh, no.
How did she find out?
She got kind of upset with me, and yeah.
Did the pastor say something or something? For some reason, I was thinking she got straightened out when the pastor said something about a syllabus.
Yeah, I guess she got straightened out. I don't know.
You didn't straighten her out. I think the pastor said something, and he's like, I'm giving a class outline. I'm not sending a bus to go get you or something like that. And it's like, uh-oh. That was funny.
Oh, this is the picture of me. Have a good laugh. That was the last time I ever wore that sweater. Oh. Oh, here, my titties.
Oh!
What?
Her titties?
That's the last time I ever wore that sweater. See my titties sticking out?
Oh, you mean it fell out of your bra?
No, it's the way the sweater lays.
Oh, the way the sweater.
Oh, yeah.
And this here is such a...
You look like you got caught by surprise.
And that was at the Valentine banquet, 1998.
Don't knock the camera.
Oh, no,
That's okay. I was hoping you weren't going to stop.
You know, just stand there.
So anyway, I wrote that was the last time I ever wore that sweater. It showed my breast so much.
That was your freeform days.
Oh.
Should I go farther?
You go until you're tired, or we run out of tape.
Well, I'm getting fun. 1993, I'm still trying to think of humorous things that have happened in the past. Just stupid things happen when you are in your 70s. Some are worth a good laugh. Did you ever go to the church and get a little board so that coughing, so that counting the spots on the floor, and notice your shoes are on the wrong feet? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. How could I ever walk down that long aisle and not feel that my shoes were on the wrong feet? Then as you are changing them, you accidentally slide it under 2 rows ahead of you. Yeah, that's true. I remember that's what happened to me. Did you ever get wrapped up in toilet paper? The other morning I woke up to the funniest sight. There was a trail of toilet paper from the bathroom to my bed. It seems I caught the paper under my gown and I was pulling it down. the light wasn't on, so I didn't see it. Then every time I turned in the sleep, I guess it wandered up around me. More than what a funny sight. Morning, what a funny sight. Surprise when I awoke in the morning. That was in 1993. Yeah, that was. I was so surprised. I woke up and here I am all wrapped up in
Toilet paper Jew. That's what they do at Halloween.
I was just reading in the paper about a woman that swallowed a diamond ring. It reminded me of a time when I was about 7 years old. I took my little brother's ring, that was the Raymond ring, and put it in my little finger. While lying on my back on the floor, I put my finger in my mouth and the ring slid down my throat. I did my poo-poo on a newspaper for 3 days, but I finally got the ring, washed it, but it never went in my mouth again. I remember that.
Did your mother ever wonder why you were pooping on a paper train?
Not too many funny things happen right now. I have just completed radiation treatment and feel miserable. 3/30/93. All the previous writings were over a year ago, 1994. My hearing is bad. I miss so much of what is said. My interpretation is worse, like I didn't know it was 5 o'clock, June said. I feel like a faded cock, my interpretation. I feel like a...
That's what you thought you said.
You said I didn't know it was 5 o'clock. Remember, for a while I couldn't understand you. And you told me it was 5 o'clock. And I felt like I thought you said...
I feel like a baby clock.
I feel like a faded cock. Whatever a faded cock is.
I'm sure.
Did I ever tell you the time I went to church? Oh, this is another time. With my shoes on the wrong feet. I did it twice. How could I be so dumb? I was married to Lloyd then, and we sat way down front so that we could hear. How I never noticed on the wrong feet, I'll never know. I had to walk through the big house to the car, then from the parking down the long aisle to the church, and it wasn't until I was bowing my head in prayer that I noticed them on the wrong feet. This is the second time this happened. I must get rid of those shoes. They were made for both feet. When you are in your 70s, you do odd things and say odd things. In the restaurant the other day, I ordered stick and slur fry and thyme pie, chicken stir fry was supposed to, and key lime pie, but I called it stick and slur fry. Yeah, I was getting all twisted up with my words.
That's like you said once about a glass of ass water.
Yeah,
now I remember that one. You were at the sewing machine,
but I had these missionary women at the house having a missionary meeting, and I said, would anyone like a glass of ass water? A glass of ass water instead of a glass of ice.
You did that one more than once because it was when we still had the Singer sewing machine. And I don't know whether you were sewing or June, you were there too, I think.
Was
and
I?
you were. My mom didn't do much sewing, you know. If it was just straight and easy, she did a little bit. But anyways, it was summertime and she was getting hot and thirsty, and she did the same thing. Can you get me a glass of that?
I don't remember that time.
I remember that
But
one. I wasn't all that old. You know, I must have.
Being a women's missionary.
I did that same thing. I was teaching and I was using a French accent, and here's all these little kids, and I forgot my line, so I said, I need to get my shit list. And it should have been a cheat. No, I said cheat sheet, and I called it my shit sheet.
Oh, shit.
And I was sitting there trying to keep a straight face, and all the kids were looking at each other going, what's the teacher say? And I had a kid. See, this is good, because I'm not as old as you are, so by the time I get as old as you are, they'll think that this is normal. I got up in class, and I'm talking in front of the 6th graders, and this kid in the front raises his hands, and he goes, Mrs. Weller, why are you wearing 2 different shoes? And I looked down, and I had a blue shoe and a brown shoe. You can't mix up these shoes. And I'm like, I don't know. Walked out of class.
Oh, you gotta write those things. Oh, you must have had loads of them.
But see, now it'll look normal. See, they'll see that it's inherited.
When you are in your 70s, you do odd things and say odd things. So I just read that about the key lime pie. Wow, 1995 already. This is about Edward again. Do you remember when you were about 6 and I took you to the doctor, Dr. White, for your school physical? He wanted to pull your panties down to examine you. It took me and the nurse and the doctor to try to pull your panties down, and we couldn't. Finally, Dr. White was so frustrated, he said, take him to H-E-L-L out of here. So I did, and you were glad. He wasn't going to show his body, bare body. And Mom always said, remember, Mom always taught us kids not to show our body. And it's just recently that I never wanted any of my kids see my bare body, and especially June, but she doesn't. She walks around bare. I said, June, what? You see through this house. Be careful where you take your pants off. Anyway. Years are going by too fast. I don't think I'll ever live long enough to fill the book. Bobby, I think I always knew where you were or where you were going, even all through high school. But one night you and Richard Leatherbury were going to the beach theater. But when 10 o'clock came and you were not home, I was worried because you had never been late. 11 p.m. I called Leatherbury. No answer. 12, still not home yet. So I went out looking. Didn't see anyone. 1 a.m. was just getting ready to call the police when you walked in. This was when you were in high school because you were driving. You decided to go to the drive-in theater instead of the beach theater. I really yelled at you for that. Do you remember when I'd get after you with a pancake turner and you would crawl under the bed so I'd get the broom and poke you? I guess HRS would put me in jail or take you away from me if I did it now.
I remember the pancake turner.
Yeah, pancake. That's what I used on you kids. Do you remember?
Yeah. Well, no, not really, because I can't remember you.
You were a good child.
No, I wasn't. I was difficult, but I guess because I had those spells, I was treated differently.
Yeah.
A bit like me with Kim.
She didn't want to get you all excited.
So I remember you chasing Bobby and Edward when he was a little older. You used the broom because your arm wasn't long enough to reach them or something. So you'd take the broom and swat at the rear end.
He'd crawl under the bed, too. Bobby would. Bobby was he's real sensitive, sort of. Things hurt his feelings, and I think he's still...
He's your compliant child. He was your compliant child.
Yeah, he was my sweet little baby boy until Ronnie came.
Did he act jealous?
I think he remembers it, and I think he feels very hurt, sort of, at the time anyway, when he was growing up, that because all my attention turned to you, all my love and attention was on Bobby for 5 years.
Yep.
Oh, he was just the sweetest little baby boy, and my little boy. Then you came, and I turned it all on you, and he remembers that, and he mentions it once in a while, and so I think it bothered him, really.
Well, 5 years was,
That's a long
Yeah.
time.
yeah, he was basically an only
Yeah.
child.
So
Yeah.
God sent you
Yeah.
judgment and gave you Eddie.
Oh.
Never play favorites.
I was
Eddie,
never...
your mother loves you very much. Oh, yes. Your Aunt June does, too.
And I was never jealous of you. The young kids do. When Kim was born, I wanted Doug to give all of his attention to Bert, because there was only 2 years difference there, and so that Bert didn't feel left out. But Doug didn't give him a lot of attention, and Bert, I think the second day Kim was home, I had her in the carriage in the living room, and he climbed in with her.
Oh.
And he's not quite 2 years old when he did that. And he wanted to see what was in the carriage, you know. He wanted to see her and be with her. As far as I know, he never hurt her.
No, he just wanted to see his baby sister.
Yeah.
But jealousy, Emily, when I was holding, Daniel's 2 years older than Emily, but anytime I would hold Daniel and Emily got to that age, she'd walk around and bang her head on the wall. Even at church, if I held another baby when we were watching in the nursery, she'd look and she'd go to the wall, bang, bang, walk around the room, bang her head on the wall. Like, we were just looking and laughing, and she was so heartbroken. We were holding somebody, and she'd bang her head on the wall.
Oh, bless her.
Maybe that's what's wrong with her. Nobody dropped her on the head.
She said it to herself.
Well, your mother is finally getting a hearing aid. I hope I don't do what another little old lady did. A couple of days after having the hearing aid, she called the audiologist and said she didn't know what was wrong with it, but she couldn't hear. So he told her to come in. She went in and he said, "Get up on the table and let me take a look at your ear." After looking, he said, "All that I can find is a suppository in your ear." She said, "Oh, now I know where the hearing is." That was the joke that our nursing director told us. I had to write it down. I thought it was so funny. Often I can't find one of this hearing aid because I take it out a lot, and it's out now.
And so you know where to check.
I make sure it's never been there. But I thought that the nursing director told that joke, and I thought it was
Yeah,
funny.
that is
That's what I know.
I bet it's more true than a joke.
Probably.
Could be, yeah, with a little old lady. Oh, my love story. Should I read that?
Tell us your love story.
My love story, January 6th, 1979. What a happy day. Oh, this is different. My marriage to Lloyd Hare. I knew Lloyd at church for about 4 years, but never really talked to him or became acquainted. He had a wife then, but I did notice for an older man he was a very neat, sharp dresser. His wife died in 1978, and he moved in for a while with his daughter. As he wasn't very well and was grieving the death of his wife, in 1979 his daughter said, "Isn't there someone at church you would like to go out to dinner with?" He couldn't think of anyone. In May 78, she said, "We are going to the dinner theater in St. Petersburg. Isn't there someone you would like to ask to go? You say to go. You say the church is full of widows." He said, "Well, maybe just one." And he mentioned me. She said, "Well, call her." And I had to think it over a couple of days. Then thought, oh, a family affair, I'll be safe. 4 of us were crowded in the back seat, and I thought, oh, the old fogey, he doesn't have to sit that close. Well, the dinner and the movie was nice, so after that he called a couple of times a week, but I always refused. Then 2 months later, July the 4th, he asked if I'd like to go to his granddaughters and family for a cookout. I thought, oh well, family affair, I'm safe. One day he told me he could pick me up at work and bring me home. At about that time I would go to his, and at about that time he would go to his home in Bella Vista to water plants and so on. So we got to know one another, and every day until I stopped work, he would be at the Majestic Towers to bring me home. Then in October, he asked me to marry him and go to Germany on our honeymoon. I said I wasn't ready to marry. I enjoyed my freedom and my work. I told him I was going to Massachusetts as I hadn't been home 10 years. So he went to Germany and I went to Massachusetts. All of a sudden, I missed that man so much, so I told all my friends and relatives that I was going back and marry him. When I got to Florida, I told everyone here and at work that I was getting married, but Lloyd didn't return from Germany when he said he would. I got panicky because I had told everyone from Massachusetts to Florida that I was getting married, and I thought his son James was keeping him in Germany and maybe even finding someone there for him. Well, he did come back, but late. He proposed again. Believe me, I didn't waste any time saying yes. The quickest decision I ever made in my, and the very best I ever made in my life. We had one another. Let's see, we had so much love for one another. He is still missed very much. March 12, 1995.
Yeah. You didn't say how long, or are you going to write more? How long you were married?
Just close to 10 years.
10 years.
Almost 10 years, lacking a month or so.
And you wrote me a letter after Lloyd had, well, no, maybe it was before
Well, she heard that before I Okay.
before he had died that because he was very sick before he died, and you told me that if you had 9 good years with Lloyd, you'd be happy the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you had that time.
Yep. It was all those other guys that made Lloyd look really good. Remember Mr. Green? Wasn't it his name, Mr. Green?
Who?
Was it Mr. Green? Mr. Little short guy that always wants to give you something. He was like 96.
And then the one that came to visit us in New Zealand, he was,
my bicycle friend.
Mr. Clark?
I can't remember his name
Fran?
now. Fran.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fran.
he came out
I can't
and
remember
he
his
was,
last name.
yeah, he had been in the Marines during Second World War, and he'd been in New Zealand down near Wellington.
Oh.
Camp there, and then redeployed back to the islands. And he said he always wanted to go back to New Zealand, but he didn't want to go back alone. And in the end, he decided to come back, and he came back by himself. And we were there, and we showed him around as much as,
Okay.
around bits of the North Island and where we were. And then he went down to Wellington for a reunion.
Oh.
So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was my bicycle friend. We'd go bicycle riding. And Bob Clark was my swimming friend. We'd go swimming together.
You would go, come here. We had summer missionaries in the house, and you said, watch this. Mr. Clark would get on his bicycle, his tricycle, and he'd start pedaling down the road, and all of a sudden, and you'd get the biggest kick, all these women would come out on their tricycles. Mr. Clark! Mr. Clark!
He was a handsome man.
Yes, he was very
Yeah.
dashing. But you would laugh because you'd go, look at all those women chasing after him.
Yeah, I think Mom sent me some photos of burying ones. I had one of, I think, of Mr. Clark and Fran.
Fran was nice too, but they were nice
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
That's all.
There was that, but what was that little old man that kept always brought
Mr.
something?
Ward.
Mr. Ward.
Oh,
Mr. Ward.
Poor Mr. Ward. And the Cunninghams, they wanted Mr. Ward and I to get together, and they would invite us both at the same time to their house for dinner. And, I couldn't go for him for anything. And, but he wanted me so bad, and they wanted me to marry him so bad. He was a widower too. They're all except Fran. Fran was divorced, I think.
But Mr. Ward would always bring you some little, I don't know,
Candy kisses.
Oh.
Yes.
And you'd come home going, oh, he's giving me candy kisses.
Yeah, you remember that, yeah. And, and he'd try to sit by me in church, and he'd get candy kisses out of his pocket. Oh, God.
He's so old. I don't want his candy kisses.
I don't know if I have anything interesting.
Yeah, this is real boring. This is,
I just write these happenings as they come to me.
it works.
Some might be current and others happened years ago. My mother must have been super mom. I remember our first trip to Florida from Massachusetts, 1925. In those days, most highways were still dirt roads, no camps on, for very few to stop at night. There were 6 of us children. The oldest was about 11. We would camp at night, sometimes set up a tent